Hello and welcome back to the Witching Hour. Here we are in Stonehenge with the Hardy Boys as they continue to investigate the Witchmaster. Will they learn the identity of the Witchmaster? Will they learn the identity of anything that's going on? I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about this story because it's been interesting to me so far. This is a very irregular mystery. I don't know if all the Hardy Boy mysteries are like this, but there's no motives or suspects or anything. People are just constantly trying to do them in, and it doesn't even seem like they're making any progress on their investigation. It's kind of weird. But let's read the rest of this, and then we're gonna play some AI Dungeon today. A fog was rising from Salisbury Plain, and a full moon hung in the night sky. The Titanic monuments loomed stark, black, and sinister in its white glow. Narrow shafts of light flittered between them in eerie patterns. The only sound was the sobbing of the wind. I hope this guy doesn't stand us up, Frank said. Suddenly they heard a musical note on the avenue. It came closer, and the boys recognized it as the high register of a recorder, flute-like instrument. They quickly ducked behind one of the horseshoe stones and peered out. "Holy cow," Frank whispered. "Look at that!" A long line of people came into view, men and women dressed alike in white robes and floating white headdresses. Each carried a single flower in one hand. "Who on earth are these people?" Joe asked. "Druids, I guess." The marchers filed up to the altar stone and placed their flowers on it. Then they turned to pace the full moon and began to chant. "Druid magic, druid love, be our guide as in days of yore. Stonehenge stones in pale moonlight, guard our ritual tonight." Joe shuddered as he listened to the strange chant. Frank, feeling his foot going to sleep, gave it a twist and accidentally kicked the stones. "What was that?" one of the druids called in a strident voice. The leader, a burly man with a white beard, gazed around. The Hardys crouched low behind the stone. Their heartbeats thumped. "An owl, no doubt," the leader said. "The bird of wisdom. It is fortunate that he takes note of our right. Now let us go." The weird column filed out of Stonehenge, and the sound of the recorder died away. "Oh," Frank said, "I'm glad they didn't notice us." "They might not have taken kindly to intruders," Joe agreed. "This is a good hiding place," Frank said. "We might as well stay here. When the guy arrives, I'll go out. You stay as a backup, okay?" "Roger." They settled down to wait. The moon climbed higher in the sky. The wind blew harder. The fog grew denser. "I can't see anymore," Frank said after a while. "Let me find a good spot closer to it. When I do, I'll come for you." "Right." Frank slipped away into the mist. 5 minutes passed. Joe became apprehensive. Had anything happened to his brother? He waited 5 minutes longer, and then he could stand it 5 minutes more than he could stand it no longer. He crept out of his hiding place in the direction of the altar. There was no sign of Frank. Joe searched all around it. "Frank," he called in a low voice. "Frank, where are you?" He heard a rustle behind him and whirled around. "Frank!" A white-hooded figure aimed a punch at his neck. He ducked in time. The man attacked him again, and the two wrestled in the dark. Joe's adversary was powerful and agile. He gave Joe a punch to the jaw that jarred him back against the altar stone. The boy dodged the second swing, and the man's fist hit the stone with a crunch. He groaned and backed off, breathing heavily through his mask. Suddenly, a second hooded figure appeared out of the fog. He forced Joe back into the stone and began to choke him. With a superhuman effort, Joe struck back with a chopper into the man's chin. He gulped and let go. Joe sat up groggily. He noticed the man clutching his jaw and tried to figure out a way to escape. There was none. The other fellow, who had hurt his hand, now closed in on him. Joe raised his arms in self-defense. Then an eerie sound pierced the night air. Was it a note of the recorder of the Druids? It made the boy shiver. The two men looked at each other, and the one motioned to the other to run. They raced past the monuments and vanished into the fog of Salisbury Plain. "Wow," Joe said to himself. "Whatever that sound was, it certainly saved me." He stood up, still breathing hard. If only he could find his brother. "Frank," he called in a low voice. "Frank, where are you?" No answer. Joe cautiously moved in the dense fog. "Frank," he repeated. Suddenly he heard a low moan. "Hey, Frank!" "Here," came the faint reply. Joe felt his way along in the darkness until he reached his brother's prone figure. "Are you all right?" he asked anxiously. "What happened?" Frank sat up and shook his head. "I got KO'd by an apparition in a hood." "I almost did too. It was a trap after all." "Did you see who it was?" "No, two men. They disappeared this way," said Joe, pointing. "No sense in following them in this fog," Frank said. "We might as well go to the car." He got to his feet. As they turned to go back to the professor's compact, Joe tripped over something. "Hey, what's this?" he said. He picked up a striped cap and handed it to Frank. This looks like the cap Nip Hadley wears, Frank exclaimed. Right, I wonder if he's one of those gruesome twosome. Frank turned the cap inside out. In the moonlight, he read the label. The cap came from a store on the Isle of Man. They decided this was a clue they would investigate when they got the chance. Perhaps we should go there, Frank said. They trotted back to the parking area where they had left Rowbotham in his car. It was deserted. There was no sign of the auto, and the professor was gone. I bet the professor's got to be in on it. Why would he get them there to, do this, though? That doesn't make any sense. The next chapter is called Mysterious Message. So we'll investigate that with the Hardys tomorrow, but let's play a little AI dungeon and see what we can get up to. Hey, and welcome. We're going to do some more AI dungeon today because we're trying to do this once a week at least. And so we did it. It was a dark and stormy night. I'm thinking the next one I'm going to do here is The Room, and we'll do this as because I've been playing on Monday nights. If you follow my Twitch, I play Silent Hill games, and we're currently playing Silent Hill 4, which is subtitled The Room. So let's see what this prompt is about. I'm also going to be eating here a bit, so you'll have to excuse the sounds of me eating. Sure, it's taking its time.
A tall, gaunt man walked in. He had narrow shoulders and a narrow face. His hair was white and shagged, his lips thin and bloodless, his jaw rigid and angular. He looked at you with the coldest eyes you have ever seen. His eyes were like two bright orbs of blue ice. The coldness of his eyes made you shudder. There was something eerie and unnatural about him.
Okay. This is not good. This is not good. So, I will read the beginning. It was a dark and stormy night. Outside the window, a thick layer of clouds blocked the stars and lightning cracked ever so frequently. Inside a room, the candle flickered fitfully, casting shadows everywhere. You looked. The room was small and dimly lit. It seemed to be a bedroom. On the opposite side of the room, you saw a small desk covered with a layer of dust. On top of it sat a small porcelain doll. Its porcelain face had vacant, emotionless stare, and its hair was styled in a low curl at the side. The walls were covered with a haphazard pile of bookshelves, most of them empty, some of them half empty. The floor was covered with a patchwork of carpets, different shades of green and blue and brown. On one corner of the room you saw a narrow bed. Perhaps it had once been white, but now was so covered with dust and cobwebs it nearly black. The candle flickered, casting a small dark shadow on the opposite wall. Suddenly the door opened. You shrieked and covered your mouth with both hands. So, this description though, right? Let me read this again for you. A tall, gaunt man walked in. He had narrow shoulders and a narrow face. His hair was white and shagged, his lips thin and bloodless, his jaw rigid and angular. He looked at you with the coldest eyes you have ever seen. His eyes were like two bright orbs of blue ice. The coldness of his eyes made you shudder. There was something eerie and unnatural about him. This is the Witchmaster! He's showing up at the beginning of the story! That's not fair! I was gonna do this thing where I play as Henry from Silent Hill 4. I guess I'll respond. You say, what? What the hell?
You say, what the hell?
Oh, I should have put more L's in to see if he would do it.
You couldn't even spit out the words. You just stared at him, your mouth hanging open. His lips moved, but no sound came out. His face twisted into a grotesque grin. You shrieked as he lurched towards you, his lips moving soundlessly. And then you were in front of the desk. The porcelain doll was sitting right in front of you.
Grab the doll. That's also a Silent Hill 4 thing. There's a creepy doll.
You grab the doll and throw it at the Witchmaster.
I don't think this will do us any good. This story is cursed.
You grabbed the doll and threw it as hard as you could at the Witchmaster. The Witchmaster caught the doll in both hands and held it to his bosom. He looked down at it and began to smile slowly. You felt a wave of nausea wash over you and fell to the floor and vomited. When you raised your head, the gaunt man was gone.
Okay, he's gone. Oh, jeez. The Witchmaster is gone. It's important that... I didn't start a timer for this. I apologize. I need to start a timer for this so I know how long I'm doing it for. Because it can end up going on forever, but we'll... Okay, let's look for a way out of the room.
You look for a way out of the room.
We have to play at least for a while. Immediately, though, the Witchmaster.
There is a door on the far side of the room. You walk over to the door and turn the knob, but it is locked. The door is solid wood with iron bands and has a small window set near the top. You can see that there are people on the other side of the window, watching you. You can hear muffled voices coming from outside. You are afraid someone might come through the door any minute. You need to hide.
You hide under the bed, of course. That's where you always hide.
You hide under the bed.
Apparently I needed to hide because now I might be in the secret village, which is a good
movie.
movie.
Under the bed to hide. Soon, you hear someone coming down the hall outside. The door opens, and you hear the Witchmaster's voice saying, "Tread softly, my sweet guest. The dead have ears to hear." The door closes, and you hear a woman's voice say, "Ah, but we're not dead yet." "True," replies the Witchmaster.
No, he's still there. This is horrible. This is horrible. This is literally the scariest thing I've ever encountered in this is the 14th one of these. This is scarier than all the games I've played. I'm gonna see what happens next. I'm just gonna try to keep quiet and hope that the Witchmaster doesn't find me under the bed.
But if you keep walking around at night by yourself, you might well join them. You hear the woman laugh softly. "I suppose I am lucky to have such a chivalrous gentleman keeping an eye on me." "A chivalrous ghoul, perhaps," the woman says. "Are you still stalking that pretty little barmaid at the Flying Griffin?" "Har har har." The Witchmaster chuckles.
Oh, jeez. Try to still your breathing. I wish that your heartbeat wasn't pounding in your chest. Whenever you hear that cold, awful laugh.
You try to still your breathing and wish that your heartbeat wasn't pounding in your chest whenever you hear that cold, awful laugh. The sound of the Witchmaster's laugh still rings in your ears when you hear another door open and slam shut. You quickly peek out from under the bed, but see no one. As you watch, a figure appears in the mirror over the dressers. A beautiful young woman with long golden hair, wearing a silk and white nightgown, is standing behind the dressers.
Oh no, that's always horrible too. She's probably a ghost of some kind. I have to make sure I turn off Discord again because I don't want it running and beeping. Sorry. You watch from under the bed to see what the woman does.
You watch from under the bed to see what the woman does.
I'm just hiding under a bed. This is terrifying, though.
The woman turns, looking directly at you. You feel a cold chill run through your body as you realize that she can see you. You try to scream, but no sounds comes out. The woman opens her mouth and screams a horrible, ear-splitting scream. She puts her hands to her mouth and the scream seems to come from there. The windows of the room shatter and pieces of glass fly toward you, cutting your skin.
Okay, we quickly crawl out from under the bed and try to escape through one of the broken windows because we have to get out of this room.
Quickly crawl out from under the bed and try to escape through one of the broken windows. You crawl out through one of the broken windows and begin running as fast as you can. You run and run, past the old, abandoned houses. You run through the orchards and the cemeteries. You run all through the night. You do not dare stop, even to catch your breath. You do not stop until you are back in the safety of your own room.
Did we do it? Did we escape from the Witchmaster? Barricade your door and then apply first aid to your cuts.
You barricade your door and then apply first aid to your cuts.
Is my room safe? Is it really safe? Apparently I was somewhere weird. I don't know why I was there.
You clean your cuts with water, bandage them and try to get some sleep. In the morning, your cuts don't hurt anymore, but you are very tired. You have finals in a few days and need to study. What should you do?
Oh. Well, apparently I have finals in a few days and need to study. What should I do? Well, this is taking an interesting turn. I mean, this is the classic AI dungeon taking a random turn. Okay. I'm very tired. Go to the local bar instead of studying.
You go to the local bar instead of studying.
Oh, the local bar is the Flying Griffin, actually. Yeah.
You go out to the local tavern and spend your evening drinking with your friends. You have a great time and do not get home until midnight. You wake up late for your exams, but don't bother to study. You know all the answers anyway. That evening, you drink again at the local tavern. You end up getting into a fight with some of the miners from up north and breaking a few of their noses.
Apparently I get drunk at the bar a lot. I'm not Henry, that's for sure. And then we will buy a round for all of the miners to show there's no hard feelings.
You buy a round for all of the miners to show there's no hard feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You walk up to the bar and order a round of drinks for all the miners. As you are paying, you realize that you are broke and do not have enough money for your own drinks. You try to think of someone who might lend you some money, but can't think of anyone. Meanwhile, the angry miners have surrounded you. Listen, you say. I'll pay you back as soon as possible. That's not good enough.
Well, let's just skip out then. The angry miners are angry.
You duck out and try to run out of the tavern. You grab the door and start to pull it open when one of the miners kicks it from the other side and sends it flying into your midsection. You sit down hard on the tavern floor, gasping for breath, as several miners step forward and grab you by the arms. Come on, one miner says. Let's take him through the back exit. They drag you to your feet and drag you through the back door of the tavern and around to the alley.
Let's see what happens next. I'm trying to have as little like editing or any kind of interaction with this as possible. This isn't a horror story anymore.
Where's the rest of your buddies? One miner asks, pushing you up against the wall of the tavern. I don't know what you're talking about, you say. The miners punch and slap you a few times, but it hardly matters when they put a pickaxe through your skull.
Well, I guess I'm dead. This is the usual stuff, right? know.
You're dead.
There we go. Is it the end? That was kind of a this is the way AI Dungeon works.
Oh dear. It appears that you have suffered a fatal accident. Please do be more careful in the future. If you are reading this, then you have succeeded in creating an account at ezboard.com. Congratulations. When you log in, you can post your own messages on your MyInfo page. For more information, check out the help files under the message boards menu option.
This is also stuff that sometimes happens on here. Well, I guess that's it. We did it. So I'm pretty much done eating. I'm gonna put my bowl in the kitchen, and hope you all have a good one. And yeah, enjoy your the rest of your day, and we'll see you on the weekend, or well, tomorrow's Friday. We'll see you then.
You wake up in the bed in the room where you started, with the face of the Witchmaster looming over you. You realize that you can never escape.